Everyone has a story. Some are whispered in the quiet of night. Others echo across generations. But the best ones? They inspire, they challenge, they move us. Welcome to A Story to Tell, where history meets hope, where faith meets the real world, and where every tale points to something greater than ourselves. I'm your host, the storyteller, and in each episode, we uncover powerful, faith-filled stories of courage, redemption, purpose, and perseverance. Stories to steer your soul. Stories to share with your kids before bed. Stories you didn't know you needed until now. This isn't just another podcast. This is a story to tell. It was the kind of feud that filled the hills with smoke and the hearts with hate. Two families, neighbors once, divided by blood, pride, and one disputed hog. You know their names already, the Hatfields and the McCoys. Now, you've heard the story, haven't you? It began in the mountains of Tug Fork, where West Virginia kisses Kentucky, a place where honor and family were everything, and revenge was served warm with a side of rifle smoke. Randolph McCoy lost 3 sons. Devil Anse Hatfield lost a brother. The bullets flew fast, but the bitterness, oh, the bitterness, was faster and lingered longer. Over 3 decades of eye for an eye justice, and the price was paid in funerals and fatherless children. Courthouses burned, families fled, a governor threatened to invade another state. And after all that, the war faded not because someone won, but because everyone lost. But here's where the story turns, where the pages of history crack open to let the light in. You see, long after the guns were silent and the hills stopped echoing with curses, something remarkable happened, not in the 1800s, but in 1979. That's right, nearly a century later. Descendants of those feuding families met, not in battle, but in fellowship. They gathered at a tiny church in Pikeville, Kentucky, under one wooden cross, and there they signed a formal peace treaty, ending the longest and most infamous feud in American history. And then they prayed together. And that might be enough of a surprise for some, but wait, there's more. You see, at that gathering was a young man named Bo McCoy, a direct descendant of Randolph himself. He had grown up hearing the tales soaked in sorrow. But Bo had a dream that God might use his family name not as a symbol of vengeance, but of reconciliation. So Bo McCoy, and yes, you guessed it, Rio Hatfield, of the other clan, started something new. They didn't stop at a handshake. They launched a joint ministry together to promote peace and forgiveness in schools and communities across America. Bo used to say, if our families can forgive each other after all that, then anyone can. And in a twist no one saw coming, the name McCoy became known not just for gunpowder and grief, but for grace. And Bo, he later became a pastor. He preached forgiveness because he lived it. What began in blood ended in blessing. The Hatfields and McCoys remind us that no wound is too old, no grudge is too deep, and no name too broken for God to redeem. The Hatfields and the McCoys prove that reconciliation is possible, not because wounds were forgotten, but because forgiveness was chosen. What began with a disputed hog ended with clasped hands under the cross, showing that Christ can turn even the darkest legacies into testimonies of hope. When enemies become partners in ministry, the world sees living proof of the power of the gospel. The Apostle Paul in the book of Ephesians puts it this way: "Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you, with all malice, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you." When pride gives way to prayer, even the most bitter feuds can bloom into fellowship. So, whatever your history, your family name, or your pain, take heart. Reconciliation is not a fantasy, it's a choice. And just like Bo, maybe you were born to turn your legacy of hurt into a testimony of healing. Now you've heard of the feud, you've heard of the fighting, but now that you've heard the rest of this story, you have a story to tell.